book and a bear. Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's episode of How Much Incest Will It Take to Kill the A Book and a Bear hosts? No, but seriously. We're covering Credence tonight and we'll all need therapy after this. To summarise, this book basically jumps between multiple point of views. We have our main character, Tiernan.
Tezza.
We also... Tezza. We have our main squeeze, Tezza. We also have the bangable love interests, which that's disgusting to say. AKA her step family. Uncle Jake and his sons, her cousins, Noah and Caleb. It definitely gives off cabin in the wood vibes, minus the zombies, this time with a splash of let's fuck our uncle. Buckle in. This one's going to get incesty. So, to get started, what are we all drinking tonight?
Look, I am drinking Jack and Coke because that is my normal everyday drink, and I needed something to help me swallow all of the bullshit in this book, so that's where we're at.
Well, I am right on that train with you. I am drinking Jack and Coke too.
Well, I've got
We're on
CC tonight.
We're all on. Look at us all.
Look, I know
I'm
in the
scared.
book they drink heaps of beer, but I can't drink beer.
No, it's the
awful.
yeast. It's too much.
It's the
I would
yeast.
have to be extremely drunk to drink beer.
I'm like, there is enough yeast down there already. I don't need to fuck with it anymore.
We can't fuck with our yeast levels, all right?
No, look,
Can't
we
do
can't.
So, what was your thoughts, guys? How did you feel about this book that I recommended to you all?
Fucking trying to kill us.
Literally. We've complained about incest before, regularly, in fact, too regularly. But here we are. And look, as per usual, I went in blind. I did not read the blurb. I was like, we're just going in balls deep, literally. Some unexpected things that I don't like were the pigtails.
Oh,
The boxer briefs. I just could not. I can never stand a satin boxer brief.
I
hate them.
boxer briefs.
I hate them so much. It is few things will turn me off quicker than a satin boxer brief, but here we are. I mean, she does go off into the wilderness with her step-uncle, and it all kind of goes somewhat downhill from there, so I can't really be picky about the boxer briefs. I did enjoy some of the smut, despite the unfortunate context, and by that I mean her and Jake fucking in the car was kind of hot. There, I said it. Please don't judge me. I was very conflicted about who I'm meant to ship people with, who was meant to be loving and hating and fucking who, and then I realised why that is, and it's because she fucks them all. And it was all a bit confusing, but nonetheless, I finished this book in a day, and here we are. I do think that I actually need a fantasy novel palette cleanser from my smut novel palette cleanser now.
Yeah.
Too much. I need a break.
Sorry, guys.
I am deeply, deeply disturbed. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to fuck Jake as much as the next girl. But did we have to keep calling him uncle? We didn't need to keep specifying that.
Like, not in casual conversation, she doesn't say Uncle Jake. It's when he's, like, slapping
Fucking
her bare
hell.
ass, and she's like,
Yeah.
Uncle Jake.
Can we just drop the uncle? Fucking hell. Also, 1000% agree with you, Briony. What the fuck was going on with the pigtails and the braids? It was, why did I never think that Caleb was going to be the one that she chooses?
Look, it's fair that you didn't.
No,
It came out of nowhere.
Just,
pretty much. And why on God's earth are we back to fucking incest? These are the questions I have. But, reading the blurb, I definitely thought that Jake was going to be the one that she'd end up with. And I was okay with that. We all know I like an old man, and I was on board for that train. I could have looked past the incest. But then we took a sharp left turn, we derailed, and now we're fucking our cousins. Anyway, Caleb, the guy who spat in her hair, wrote slut on her face, hit her, and threw out her birth control. Yes, he must equal my soulmate. Fuck me. Plus, there was a few issues I had with the writing that just didn't add up. We'll get to that. But yeah, look, didn't vibe with this one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, look, I'm going to start off by apologising to everyone out there who really likes this book, because the second time I read it through, I really did not like it one bit, actually.
He was so excited recommending it.
Look, there were things that I liked, like AKA the smut. That's, basically it. The majority of the time I was like, what the fuck is going on and why is it going on? That is the real question. But in saying that, I will always love Penelope Douglas. She is the smut queen in my eyes, but like, what the fuck happened here? Like,
it was a schmozzle.
Why did it have to happen like this?
What?
I'm unsure, but it's probably for the best that we just get right into this almost incest, so let's go. There are a very, very vicious group of people who very much love Penelope Douglas and will die on the Penelope Douglas train, so that's why I'm apologising, because I don't want you to come for me and kill me.
Okay, look. Nothing about what we say is about Penelope as a person or as an author.
Exactly.
It's just this book.
People also really like this book.
Okay. It's just
I don't know why.
Yeah, we just have an issue with incest.
We
and
do.
It's become too much of a recurring theme that we need a bit of a break after this.
It's just me, and I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on.
Look, guys, we're going to have a group therapy session soon. We're going to uncover some issues.
Trauma.
Yeah, fucking hell.
I would, again, like we always say, like, we support your choices. We are
not
just also
incest.
brutal motherfuckers and probably don't fuck people you're related to.
Yeah, we support your choices, but not fucking incest. Sorry. Hard line in the sand.
If you have to clarify how you're not related, that's the issue. That's already a bad line.
You're technically related then if you have to do that.
You have to be like, no, it's not by blood.
No, it's my second cousin.
Oh, no. All right, let's just jump in. Let's do it.
We're derailing.
We are.
Redact that.
Redact that.
Redact that. Redact this fucking book. We meet Tiernan de Haas. That's a mouthful. So, she's our main character because, of course, her name couldn't just be Tara or Tezza or Terry or fucking Tiffany. It's Tiernan.
Tiernan.
Jesus.
Tearing up because of the incest.
Pretty much. She's got grey eyes, which is a weird trait. Blonde hair, dark eyebrows. Both of her parents are famous. They're off to themselves. Together. They've just decided we can't live in this life without one another, so let's go be peaceful elsewhere. Her dad was sick with terminal cancer. They yeeted themselves. They yeeted their fetuses out of his life. Her dad was sick with terminal cancer, and her mum was like just a giant child, essentially. And she didn't think that there was anything worth living for without him, not even her daughter. Even though they named her a really fucked up name. And they were like, you know what? Not you. Off we go.
You could just suffer
Not you.
with that name without us.
Exactly.
Also, this is why you should not have children unless you're absolutely keen on it, because they've literally had a child and then gone, no, that's not for us. And rather than put the child up for adoption so she could have a loving family, they're like, suffer.
Yeah. We're just going to ignore your existence.
Go to your room and I'm going to ignore you.
Go to your room and your father is going to push me on that tyre swing and we're going to look incredibly happy. Fuck you.
Oh, you stand in the window looking haunted as fuck.
Oh, God. It's weird. It's weird. But they didn't even leave her like a fucking note or anything. Selfish bricks. But
they just
anyway,
exited the chat.
They did. We also meet...
Marais?
Mazza.
All right.
Everyone's going to have a fucking nickname with a
Mazza. Okay.
Again, for anyone that's joining us that's not Australian, this is what we do. Everyone has a nickname and there's a lot of Z's in it.
So we meet Mazza, who was her mother's assistant and seems to actually be one of the only person that cares for Tezza. So, because of years of being treated like a pile of dog shit, Tiernan isn't much of a people person, understandably, because she doesn't really speak to humans at all. People assume she's a snob, but she just doesn't like to be around too many people or speak too much because she's different.
Look, just say you're on the spectrum and be done with it.
Yeah, fucking hell. We also find out that Tiernan wears a red ribbon. nearly constantly. And I am once again disturbed. Why must naive teenagers have childlike characteristics? We don't need to make them into children. If we're going to sexualise them, in fact, we probably shouldn't be making them into children. Wouldn't you agree?
No. I would agree.
And I know she justifies it that her shitty mum told her once that it would make her hair better or some shit when she sleeps. No, we're not doing it. I'm just going to redact that from existence.
Take your ribbon and fucking redact it. So, she's not really depressed. She doesn't really know how she's feeling. She's a bit bewildered by the entire situation. She's like sitting in her house. I think she's making ramen or something, some noodles. She's not really too sure what's going on. And then a private number rings her phone and she's like, this is interesting. And guess who it is? It's Uncle Jake.
Uncle Jake.
It's her father's stepbrother, so technically not uncle, but still uncle. And he is apparently her legal guardian in the will because she has 10 weeks left before she turns 18. But because he's just a great stand-up guy, he isn't going to force her to do anything. But he offers her a place to live in their isolated home with him and his 2 sons in the mountains. That sounds terrible to me. Basically, in the next chapter, Tiernan goes, yep, let's do it. I'm going to go live with the uncle that I've never spoken to nor met before. Just highlight
Had no
that.
Contact. No idea.
None. Didn't know existed until right now. Actually, I think she had there was some brief mention of him once upon a time. But
her dad and the uncle were not related by blood, step siblings, and then estranged. So she knew he existed, but that was it.
That was it.
Parents were like, he sounds like the perfect person to take care of our child once we kill ourselves.
Yeah, well, we don't care about her, so she can just fuck off.
She can go get fucked. Literally.
He's just shook it.
Not okay.
So she flies off to Colorado, which is where the mountain men are, and we meet Uncle Jake, who is described as 6'2", athletic look with short cropped, dark blonde hair and blue eyes. And he is in his late 30s to early 40s, which, yes, that's illegal for those who are wondering. It's illegal anyway. They're not fucking yet, so it's not technically illegal, but just the thought of it is illegal in my mind. So Jake begins to drive them to their house, which is in Chapel Peak. And, of course, he is in his big black pickup because America!
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 Can't just be driving a Corolla. No.
So they basically talk about her schooling, which she'll finish online, which is great. So we know that she's educated. Jake explains that he runs a business from home with the help of his 2 sons, which means they will be around all of the time.
We then have this weird moment where Jake takes her to the candy shop to let her lick the lollipop. I mean...
What is with the 50 Cent reference? 50 Cent doesn't mean want to be affiliated with this.
He's like, no, officially 50 Cent does not affiliate himself with incest. But apparently he goes, you look sad and depressed, so what if we go to this candy shop and then you can fill up a little baggie and that's fine. But he doesn't really, I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Again, we're treating her like a child.
They then get to the house, which of course is like 3 stories and huge, and we meet the dogs, because there's dogs, but which are not mentioned enough. But their names are Danny and Johnny, because apparently everyone in this house likes the Karate Kid for the first 3 chapters, and then we forget about it.
We do too.
It is unclear as well if Tezza pats the dogs when she meets them, and that makes me not trust her. It wasn't clear.
No.
You don't pat the dogs, I don't trust you.
Absolutely
if it was
not.
the story of any of our lives, it would be like, and then she was introduced to the dogs and she rolled around on the ground.
And she lived happily ever after.
And did not fuck her step-family.
Although Ellie may have fucked the uncle. But, because I don't know him...
I'm not going to lie to you, this entire book, I was on the Noah train. I just loved Noah.
Yeah, look, I get that.
I thought he
deserved better.
He deserved better.
And who would you bed, Briony, out of the three?
Look, I was torn because I was like, I do like an older man, and so Jake's bringing that. But Noah actually got her, and there was some more like emotional bonding there that I liked more. None of it was Caleb.
No,
absolutely.
Solid no.
None of it.
No, from the moment we met him in this book to the last moment, I was like, why?
None of them were screaming soulmate, end matches. It was like, is Noah going to be the beautiful, brief love interest that helps you get where you need to get, and you both get each other, and then you part ways amicably. But that's not where the storyline went, so that's fine.
No,
Speaking of
I was
Noah,
like, is she going to be stepmummy?
Oh.
Anyway, so funnily enough, we now meet Noah. He's got dark blonde hair, and it's slicked back underneath.
He is. Hold on, who are we thinking?
Lleyton Hewitt.
What?
It's the backwards Facebook app.
Why
He's
are you
Lleyton Hewitt in
bringing
my head.
tennis into this?
Look, I do see where you're coming from with that, but Lleyton Hewitt just doesn't tickle my fancy like that.
Well, Noah didn't tickle my fancy, so he's Lleyton Hewitt in my mind.
Yeah, look, that's fair.
Anyways, we got distracted again.
Actually, Penelope Douglas has her own Pinterest page, and when she's doing, writing her books, she has boards for each of the books that she covers. Right, we meet Noah. Dark blonde hair, slicked back, baseball cap. We've done this. We don't know who Caleb is yet, but we know he exists. They are what we like to call a DIY household, and they have to grow, catch and or kill most, and if not all, of their food, which sounds delightful. Tiernan gets the tour and is told that Caleb's room is essentially the whole third floor, as he needs his, in quotation mark, space, but he's not there, and Jake warns her about him. Ominous.
Look, as Jake goes to basically leave her in her room, Tezza comments that she thinks Jake hated her father and asks him if it's uncomfortable to have her there, and Jake responds with, I don't see your father when I look at you, Tiernan, and follows that up with, and you don't have to call me uncle. I'm not really anyway, right? Which is a slight problem.
Right.
Because maybe you should be thinking about all the ways you are related. We forget
But also,
that,
if you want to fuck him, then he's not your uncle. Because you
don't-
do want to fuck him, stop saying uncle.
The next morning, Tiernan wakes up and she's a bit disorientated because, her parents committed suicide and she's moved across the country to live with her step-uncle and her step-cousins, and it's all very, very unusual. So I can understand why she's disorientated. But then she remembers, and we have this quote where it's, I hold there, frozen and waiting for the burn in my eyes to come, the sting of tears, the pain in my throat, wanting the tears to come, wishing they would come, but they don't. And that worries me more than my parents' death. Which is just...
Trauma.
Yeah.
But this is the first bit that I had a gripe with the writing. So, as we said, initially she wakes up, she's aware of where she is, she's a bit disorientated, she's noticing how different her surroundings are. So the quote is, no distant chatter coming from my father's office and the 6 flat screens he plays as he gets ready for his day. No entourage of stylists and assistants running up and down the stairs getting my mother ready for hers because she never leaves the house unless she's in her full hair and makeup. She realises how quiet it is there, thinking there's no phones going off or landscapers with their mowers. And then immediately follows that up with, my parents didn't like noise in the morning. What? You literally just spent 2 paragraphs telling us how much noise there was in the mornings at your house. How do they not like noise in the mornings? And why is this different? Because it's what?
Is
it different?
That's so interesting. I didn't even notice that, but you are so fucking right.
You're so fucking right. And the only thing I can think of is that her parents didn't like her making noise in the morning, but that's not clarified. So
no,
yeah.
and her whole thought process is she wasn't thinking about how quiet and peaceful it was. She'll hear the coffee machine and she's like, my parents hated noise in the morning, and it's like, no, they didn't. What is it? Do they
they just
noise?
hated
Do they like noise?
I think they just hated you, my friend.
Yeah, I feel like they did.
So Tiernan wakes up. She gets up. She runs downstairs. Well, downstairs? I don't know. She runs to the kitchen. And her and Jake have some banter over some morning coffee. And we can see that she needs to be poked. Whose notes are these? Poked with what?
I think it was me, but what I mean is that she not poked with her uncle's peni. She needs to be, like, if she's allowed to her own devices, she's just numb. She's just quiet and isolated and will just go numb and disappear into the void. So she needs someone to basically get her to feel anything, and part of that is pushing her button. That's what I was getting at.
Part of that is putting his penis in her vagina.
It shouldn't be.
Anyway, from what Briony just said, we agree that if she is left alone, she is numb, so he must poke her. So, poke her buttons, mix her around a little bit, taunt her,
prod her.
Not fuck her, but we'll lose sight of that.
Fuck her.
Maybe spank her.
Oh, dear. But yes, anyway, Jake is taunting her about her dad. She snaps back and it feels good to her. She likes that interaction because, again, can't just be normal, can't just be no trauma involved, has to be trauma. So they go for a ride around the property.
Landscape.
The landscape. Outdoors. And, of course, she cannot ride a horse on her own because why would she be able to do that? Even though she can actually ride a horse. I'm pretty sure she says that she can. But he's like, let me just sit you up here on the saddle and I will scooch in behind you. And it's not the same feeling as we had last week when Castile was behind Poppy and was creating the fiction. No, we did not feel that way because this is her uncle.
My favourite quote here, an important quote. I don't know, but I'm aware that maybe I should be. This is weird. We shouldn't be sitting like this. You think?
No, I look at my uncles all the time and I'm like, let me sit in your lap.
To be fair, if my uncle looked like Charlie Hunnam.
Oh, dear God.
I'm
Not
so
by
conflicted
blood.
now that
I know, because of Charlie Hunnam is so
if my not related, it would have even been better if it's like, oh shit, he got appointed her guardian in the will and he's not happy about it because he's like, we're not even related. And it was a whole moment. Anything
Yeah,
to
exactly
distinguish
right.
the fact that they are not related.
Not to mention the next layer of like, yes, we're not related, I will fuck you, but then I'm going to turn around and fuck your sons simultaneously.
So Jake says that she can travel wherever she wants to on the property, but she basically needs to be aware of the dangers because there's obviously wildlife and they're in the wilderness, there's bad terrain, etc., all the dangers of going outdoors. And we get a weapons test where Jake discovers that she has pretty good aim with a rifle, which we never return to. Jake asks her to make breakfast when she gets back to the house because apparently everyone contributes, and because she cannot farm or kill animals, she is relegated.
She cannot farm.
She is relegated to breakfast.
Because she cannot plough the field, she must cook the breakfast.
And the chapter ends with Tiernan essentially being like, you can't tell me what to do because you're not my dad. And it's just like, no, he's not. But
Remember that.
Remember that. Everyone keep that in your head, please. Tiernan then takes her anger towards Jake out on a boxing bag, and Noah appears to watch it. And I'm just sort of like, I can picture me up against a boxing bag, and it would be the most pathetic display of anger and frustration. It would be like, oh, fuck, hell, that actually hurts more than you think it does. And, like, she's this California 17-year-old who wears fucking ribbons in her hair, and we're supposed to think she's, like, just slamming this punching bag.
And, like, shooting a rifle. Like,
yeah.
Perfectly.
it's nothing, but it's fine.
So she's also not eating properly because trauma. And while the others have had breakfast and she checks her phone, only to discover that she's being bombarded by social media posts. As people know, her parents yeeted. So she goes to make a social media post, but she cannot. She cannot. So she deletes all of her social media instead, as we all probably should. Also, there's just like a lot of reference throughout the book about her phone being on charge, like constantly. Like, I go to put my phone on charge. I go to take my phone off charge because
But she never actually uses her phone that often.
She's always charged. She's ready for any occasion.
Or it's off. She just like turns it off.
There's just a lot of like specific reference about what her phone is doing.
Next minute, she's outdoors and she's helping Jake with something. And we get this weird moment with a splinter. Which basically, weird. Before Jake nails his stepniece, Tiernan is helping him nail some shit down. I don't know. But he ends up sucking the splinter out of her hand, like mouth on hand, and the descriptions are sucks and nibbles Why is he nibbling her hand? What in the actual fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'm just picturing like a squirrel.
While her uncle is sucking her hand, some random people show up to the house, and in that moment, Jake takes it mid-splinter suck. Don't fuck the local boys. So that's good. Nice to know. But we do get this heartbreaking bit where Jake asks her if she regrets coming to the house, and she says that she doesn't know. And then he asks her if there's another place that she would rather be, and she just responds with, I don't want to be. But the sentence comes out sounding complete. Like that was my answer. I don't want to be.
That's fucked.
That's traumatic. I am sorry that your parents did that to you.
Yeah, look, in amongst all of the very unfortunate incesty vibes, she does have genuine trauma.
As you would, because her parents were fucking cunts. So.
They were assholes. Look, after this, Tiernan is again making sandwiches, and she notices that the fridge is leaking. And in a very unrelatable moment, she is out here representing all the handy-capable women, which is not me, and she goes, I can YouTube how to fix this, and boom, she repairs a fucking fridge.
No.
And Noah comes in and sees that she has fixed the fridge, and he's very impressed by it, and they bond a little bit, which is quite nice. But then Jake is just unhappy that she rearranged the fridge content.
I just didn't understand this bit at all. I was like, Jake, she's just fucking helped you. Just take her fucking down a notch, mate.
She's trying to contribute as more than a scullery maid, but here we are.
Literally. Fucking cunt.
Another quote that made me uncomfy. You have a pretty smile, cuz, he tells me. If you stay, I'll make you smile some more. Why must we point out that they are loosely related at any given opportunity?
Every time.
Not fucking necessary. We also discover that Tiernan wakes up at about 1:15 every morning with nightmares. We never find out what the nightmares are about.
No.
But that's just a thing that happens.
Yeah, it's like the witching hour, except Tiernan's screaming.
Look, next chapter, and we're in Jake's point of view, which I guess is exciting. I don't know. Jake is trying to figure out what Tiernan's outlet is, because he's like, someone that fucked up needs an outlet. And his mind turns to thinking of her fucking someone in the backseat of a car, which was just hilarious given how things turn out.
Literally. And like, Jake does really need to sort out some feelings he has towards Tiernan, because we jump from, I wish she'd smile. I don't expect it, given what's happened to her, but I have a feeling she doesn't smile a lot regardless. To that, too, I can forbid her from leaving if I want to, if for no other reason that to burn off my exceeding supply of frustration with her father, to make her work off his debt to me, to fuck up her life just a little bit, to make her, she wets her pink lips, and my breath catches for a moment. If I were a worse man.
You are a worse man.
You fucking are, bro. And then, just as he starts to get a little bit horny, he stops himself and goes, she's my responsibility, not my opportunity for payback, not to mention she's quiet, boring, and a little pathetic. I can't torture someone who won't fight back.
What a charmer.
But this is what I mean about the writing. Like, we start off on a journey, and then we've done like a 180, but then we come back.
We fucking
like,
derail
why?
So much. It's
Why?
just fucked. And then basically Jake gets a call from Mazza about Tiernan. She's checking in. She's just checking up on her, seeing if she's dead, seeing if she's been fucking killed by these
random strangers in the wilderness.
But no, she's still alive. And Jake really doesn't get along with Mazza very much. She's annoying. And that's fine. What, Ellie?
Oh my god, do you guys know the movie, is it Wrong Turn? It is a horror movie about incest. People who live in the woods.
Yes.
And they're all fucked up because they're all inbred in incest.
Yes.
And they keep reproducing.
Yes.
And then they trap and kill tourists who just come upon them.
Oh dear.
This could have really turned into that.
Really could have. So we jump from that terrifying thing, and we're back into Tiernan's point of view. And Jake is back to poke Tiernan. Good. That's fine. But then Noah and Tiernan end up taking the dirt bike to town, and Noah's saying shit like, climb on, I don't bite. My little cousins anyway, which is a fucking lie. And I'm gentle, ask any girl. So it's just like, just stop, please.
Are we cousins? Are we flirting? I'm confused.
While they're in town, Tiernan gets her birth control prescription refilled. And look, I am pro birth control. I am pro do you all the time, ensure that you don't need to rely on someone else's good graces. But you are living in an isolated cabin with your uncle and cousins. Why do you need it?
There was also a lot of emphasis on birth control and pregnancy in this book.
Very unsettling.
Was. Very disturbing. But then we meet Cece Diggins. I love that name, Cece. She's just a random town bimbo who's jealous that Tiernan is with Noah while he's buying 8 boxes of condoms.
Not like 8.
8.
8.
That's excessive. We also meet Terence Holcomb, which is quite an unfortunate name.
It's so unfortunate.
Terry. But he's an up-and-coming motocross star, which, amazing. And he was staring at Tiernan while Jake was sucking the splinter out. Remember that, when Uncle Jake nibbled her hand? He was there.
So uncomfortable.
He made really weird eye contact that whole time. So now he's staring at her while Noah is all up in his face. Like, yeah, this is my cousin / thing.
Because this is a normal
thing
way to react to your cousin being looked at.
Yeah, it is. It is. Tiernan, not entirely opposed to being protected by the family. She's like, this is quite nice, actually.
This is like fucked when you really think about it, because really, she's fucked up and she doesn't know what love is like.
No.
And so she's like, oh, they're protecting me. I'm in love with them.
Yes, and I must have sex with all of them. That is not what happens.
It's very problematic.
They're allowed to protect you without you having sex with them.
You don't need to see the peni.
No.
You do
not.
not.
The gaggle of dicks.
Not.
You don't need a gaggle of dicks in this scenario.
Especially when you're related to them. Look, from here, Noah stops for a cute view on the way home, and we get this wholesome interchange, which is just the start of like their cute non-incest relationship, which could have been fine as like best friend, cousin type things. Yes. But nope, that's not for us. So this is what Noah says basically across several pages, but he just actually looks at her and goes, you're weird, but I get it. The quotes are, my dad thinks you resent your parents and that's why you're not sad about them dying. I think you are sad, but not as much as you're angry, because actually it was the other way round, wasn't it? They resented you. We've got the internet here too, you know, Hans and Amelia DeHaas. They were obsessed with each other and they had a kid because that's what they thought they were supposed to do. And then they realized parenthood wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Raising you took them away from each other. So they turned you over to whoever they could as soon as you were old enough. Boarding schools, sleepaway summer camps, nannies. You didn't resent your parents. You loved them. Which is just fucking tragic.
It is really, really unfortunate. And Tiernan is so shocked by Noah's words. And so is basically thinking about leaving early one morning when Caleb, you know, that other cousin that everyone's been warning her about, bursts through the shop door because she's like sneaking around at night like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to leave. He just walks straight in the door. He is bare-chested, naked from the jeans upward, and he's running around with a dead animal carcass around his neck like a necklace. It's not. It's not a necklace of foreskins. It is a necklace
of
dead animal blood and carcass. And Briony's fucking note saying, I hope that's not Bambi's mum. Briony, are you okay? So, besides the whole bare-chested, covered in blood with a dead animal around his neck, we get this description of Caleb, which isn't actually too bad. He's got green eyes, black eyebrows, and a tattoo that runs from his neck down, which, cool. not too bad. Until you look at the dead animal carcass around his neck.
All right, who are we picturing as Caleb? Because from this, even though you get the green eyes, black eyebrows, so I'm assuming his hair is darker, but what length is his hair? Because my brain went, he's a caveman, it's like to his shoulders.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I pictured Tarzan straight off the bat.
Yeah.
It's Tarzan.
I pictured Jacob from Twilight, but with the longer hair.
He's actually a werewolf.
He's a
At
werewolf.
his cabin in the woods.
It is. Surprise!
Oh, look. I'm trying to... The only person I'm looking at, like I'm literally looking through actors in this age group right now, I'm thinking maybe the guy that plays Nate in Euphoria, that Australian actor.
Yeah, Jacob.
Someone had said that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only person I can see so far that might give me the right vibe. But he
Yeah.
needs to, like... I feel like he
Bulk
needs
up.
to be huge.
Yeah, he needs to be huge and he needs to grow his hair out a little bit. Nevertheless, he's still got an animal carcass around his neck. He's a bit fucking weird. So basically, he wanders in. He acknowledges that she's there, but he's just like, busy. Caveman must wash. Gets hose. Pours all over himself. Just hoses himself down. Whips off Bambi from his neck first, though. Gets rid of Bambi. Just washes himself down. And then proceeds to walk towards Tiernan, grab her, and smell her. Thanks for that, fucking crazy person. The quote is, reaching up, he takes the ribbon I'm wearing and runs it through his fingers before bringing a lock of my hair to his nose and smelling it. Then he dips to the side, running his nose over my ear, my hairline, across my forehead, inhaling me, smelling me.
Guys, no, I've just realised who Caleb is.
Oh no. The way that you're laughing, it's giving me trauma. Oh no! I'm so much more uncomfortable now.
He doesn't talk in it either. No.
Caleb is the creepy tin man from Charlie's Angels. You can't change my mind now.
Caleb.
The reference, guys.
Just to interject here, guys. May I ask why he is still wearing his jeans whilst he's washing himself with a hose? Like, he's shirtless. He's removed Bambi from around his neck. He's got the hose and he's having a grand old time. Still got his fucking jeans on. And now they're drenched, according to Tiernan. How uncomfortable would that have been? Like, he must smell like wet dog, the stench of wet denim. I don't know why that's the most disturbing part to me. It's the fact that he didn't take his jeans off. That's just really
Look,
grinding my gears.
you're not fucking wrong, but he's fucking weird.
He's fucking weird.
He's just like he's actually being self-conscious because his cousin's in the room, so he's like, I'm not gonna remove my jeans,
But
Well,
I
that
will
would-
smell you.
but
That
I'm
would
gonna
work.
smell you and then try to rape you.
Which, again,
You can...
it's a bit conflicting there.
It is, because just to jump straight from what Ellie has just said, he then starts to unbuckle his jeans. And I'm terrified. I'm like, what are you doing? I thought you were keeping them on because you were being respectful.
Of your cousin.
No. Why wouldn't you have taken them off before you got wet?
No. So he just starts trying to rape her, basically. And then, thank God, before he can actually go any further, because he's got to pin to the fucking bonnet of the car, and she's not really too sure. She's like, stop. And then,
Like, she keeps saying, stop.
stop. She's like,
And
no.
he's just ignoring her.
He's just like, no, you're not saying anything.
But inside, her vagine is going, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's quite pleasant.
Doesn't
Actually.
matter what the
But
fuck.
it's not an enthusiastic consent.
No.
It's not. No, in
it's
fact,
not.
it is explicit withdrawal of consent. Doesn't matter what her vagine says.
Multiple times. And yes. But, as I said, before it can go any further, Noah runs in and stops him. Thank fuck. And basically what we find out here is Caleb is mute, apparently. He hasn't spoken since he was 4. And he's a freak. So, that's good.
And look, just to clarify, we're not saying he's a freak because he doesn't talk. I do just want to clarify that. He's a freak because he just tried to rape his cousin.
Yes, just tried to rape his cousin and had an animal carcass around his naked chest.
And because he looks like the creepy thin guy from Charlie's.
Exactly. There's nothing to do with him being mute. Mute is fine. He's just fucking weird outside of being mute. If he spoke, in fact, it would probably be worse if he spoke.
It'd be worse if he spoke. There's already so much to take in.
It is, yes. So after this, Noah is extremely apologetic. But Caleb is not fucking sorry. And honestly, it's not really okay to justify his behaviour. No means no. I don't
Fanny flutters aside.
Fanny flutters aside. Fuck you, Caleb. And fuck the baby that you had around your neck.
Fuck you and fuck your wet jeans.
Fuck your wet jeans.
Tiernan is woken up by Noah fucking someone in the room next door, which, as someone who has lived in a residential college, is not a fun thing. Not a fun thing, especially when there's a girl that sounds like she's trying to be a porn star.
Oh, no.
We get this weird interchange between Jake and Tiernan in the bathroom, as Jake is just like in a towel around his waist. Then, which, I mean, not opposed to.
If it was Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
Done.
Again,
Done.
I've
Fine.
said it before, I'll say it again. I would let Charlie Hunnam do absolutely feral things to me.
Question for you then. Would you stand there next to him and pretend to shave your face?
No.
No, I would literally drop his towel and give him the best blowjob he's ever received.
Yeah, I could think of a lot of things I'd do, but none of them would be that.
Yeah,
None of them would be like,
if I've got
let me
Charlie
shave.
Hunnam in a towel and he is my step-uncle, I'm not going to pretend to shave.
Exactly. But she's like, this is a perfect opportunity for us to recreate like some father-daughter bonding.
Let's pretend that I've got
Please
lots of
don't do
facial
that.
hair.
And I'm just going to pretend that I'm copying you and you're teaching me how to shave my face, okay? Yes, Daddy.
I also think it's very uncalled for that she's pretending to shave her facial hair when some of us are just out here trying not to have chin hair. Like,
Yeah.
some of us have hit that age and those are fucking hard. Just
But
rude.
this whole thing is just unfortunate because he is Mo Peak as the love interest in this book, and we should not fuck people that remind us of our fathers.
Yeah, look.
That's just a solid no. There's no coming back from it. So, Tiernan is now making pancakes for everyone when Caleb is just sort of like standing in the doorway staring at her, which seems weird.
Cool.
And they have this standoff where Caleb is ignoring her existence while she tries to ask him questions, and so she refuses to give him breakfast. Which is like, okay,
The whole
well,
time.
why do we care about him when he tried to rape you? Why would you be engaging? But that's not mine. That's not my place.
Yeah, look. After that, Tiernan storms out and is then later helping Jake unload some hay bales when she hears something, and it's a girl moaning. So she follows that sound, as you would, and it's Cece giving Caleb a blowjob, and Cece's really enjoying giving a blowjob.
You're a fucking liar.
And then Caleb and Tiernan make eye contact while this is happening, and they just stare at each other. And the quote is, she groans, he and I stare at each other, and all I see is how he would have moved with me last night if I hadn't stopped him. But then a moan escapes, and I don't realise it came from me until I see the corner of his mouth curl into a smile. What the actual fuck?
You don't realise you're moaning.
Nothing like getting aroused by watching your cousin receive a blowjob.
But also, can you not get aroused and not verbalise it? Like, can you just be quietly, internally aroused?
Look, Tiernan then goes to leave that moment, and she goes to leave with Noah and some of the local boys, but then Caleb is now finished with his blowjob and basically shoves her away and banishes her from the trip.
Caveman, say no!
No. And that's literally it. He's bumping into her. It's literally a caveman. So she's like, fine, I didn't want to go anyways. I'm not crying. And she goes and decides to go exploring and has a rifle because and so then she finds a pond and she decides to go for an underwear-friendly swim in the pond. So much. And she's enjoying herself in the pond when someone appears and it's Terrence. And he just gets He just like, there's no like, oh, hello, can I join you? He just yeets his clothing, dives into the pond. And then he's like up in her face, trying to seduce her. It just gives us all the collective ick. It's not a good moment.
But do you know what's the most concerning part about all of this? She's still wearing her sneakers in the motherfucking pond.
Hey, safety first. You don't want parasites or leeches in your feet.
Look,
Which is they're going to be in her
the
boots.
rest of her's exposed.
Yeah,
Not the
fucking hell.
piggies. You've got to protect the piggies.
Well, that's apparently her thought, because she's like, let's, you know what? Do you know what makes my
Sneakers.
underwear? Yeah, sneakers.
She is like thinking about if she could do casual sex with Terence, and they're like very close in the pond. But then her cousins arrive with the shotgun, and they're like, that was me, like, cock the shotgun, but I can't make the noise, so it's just a lot of but they're like, get out the pond. And basically
Tezza.
she rides off into the sunset on the back of Noah's motorbike while Caleb stares at Terence with a shotgun. It's all very unusual.
Just stares at him.
And what was the music from Charlie's Angels? It was like so after that, all of the boys that are related to her are pissed at the idea of anyone touching Tiernan with or without her consent, except for if it's one of them. Noah
Each other.
shouts after her, if you give that asshole a piece of ass, I swear to God I'll make sure you don't sit for a week. Whoa, Noah. Whoa.
Noah!
Noah.
Dirty little scumbag.
That's a lot.
That's some Caleb shit right there, Noah. Relax.
Oh my gosh. Jake and Tiernan then get into a shouting match, because of course they do. And both of them are like taking shots at each other and trying to like hurt the other. But Tiernan is not used to anyone actually yelling at her, so she can't cope with it. Jake is like right in her face, and we get another heartbreaking moment where Jake just like shouting at her, and she's like, I'm just not used to. And he's like, to what? Rules, a spending limit, small closet space, chores of any kind? What is so goddamn different in this house compared to yours? What are you so not used to? And Tiernan just says, people. I'm not used to people. They don't talk to me at home.
To woman. So that's really unfortunate. She goes to sleep because trauma. And she dreams of a memory where her family just ignored her existence. And then wakes up. So basically, a few chapters ago, she was very mad and threw out the bag of lollies that she had. Turns out she wakes up with the lollies on her bed with a note that says, your parents never gave you anything sweet. That's why you're not. Thanks for that.
That makes zero sense. Is it a compliment? Is it an insult?
We don't know. We're like, thanks.
I
think. She's a bit confused by this, and she ends up throwing the lollies back out because she's like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeet them.
But she keeps the bag.
She keeps the bag, though, yeah. She's like, fuck the
okay.
lollies. But this nice little poem.
Beautiful insult compliment.
Yeah. Love that for her. So she goes downstairs, and Uncle Jake is there, and he hugs her like a parent should. And now I'm very uncomfortable because she finds him hot. And there's this weird moment where I'm like, are they gonna kiss? Should someone call the police now?
It's Charlie
True.
Hunnam, guys. Remember this.
Yeah. Blind
If
as
you're
a-
having a platonic hug with Charlie Hunnam,
I would kiss him
Things
too.
Oh, yeah,
Things
look,
gonna
it would
escalate.
not be platonic. It
It would not be.
100%.
Okay, anyway, so we find out that Caleb Noah's mother is in jail because she is a meth mole. Jake also tells Tiernan about his first love.
A meth mole?
It is a person who likes to use and abuse meth amphetamines. Am I wrong?
I was not expecting that from you, Ellie.
No.
I was not expecting a meth mole.
Well,
Look.
she's a meth mole. Jake also tells Tiernan about his first love, Flora, the margarine.
She'll come back. That
She'll come back.
that will come back.
Note that.
Note that.
Note that down, Flora. She will reduce your
Not the butter.
not the butter. What's fluoro used for? It's
Proactive.
cholesterol.
It lowers your cholesterol.
It lowers your
It
cholesterol.
lowers your cholesterol. That's
She
her.
does not lower cholesterol. She is dead.
She's dead. Her cholesterol's gone.
She voluntarily left the chat as well.
She did. We've got a lot of that happening today. Basically, we find out that her parents and Tiernan's parents essentially engineered the breakup between Jake and the tub of butter, causing the tub of butter to throw herself in the bin.
So Jake asks Tiernan to treat Caleb's injuries because he got into a brawl with Terence after the whole pond incident. Basically uses this opportunity to give Tiernan all the information about Terence and his gangbang clubhouse, which is like they have a point scoring system for all the women. They're patriarchal douches, which is almost like if you told her this from the beginning, maybe she wouldn't have been so keen to swim in a pond with Terence, but she didn't have the information, so she was not informed.
He just
Exactly
said,
right.
don't poke the bear. And she said, fuck you.
I will poke the
I'm
bear.
going to do it
She's going to
whilst
poke
wearing
it.
my sneakers.
Yeah.
We then get a moment between Tiernan and Caleb as she puts ointment on a cut. And then she runs off with Noah to get some lunch. And the quote is, "Coming," I say, holding Caleb's eyes as I walk away. The look he's giving me telling me I'm right. I shouldn't be left here alone with him. But now we're in Noah's point of view and I feel a little bit safer here.
Yeah.
And he's having less than great sex with someone called Remy, who happens to be his ex's 18-year-old sister, which is weird. She literally says in the throes of passion, "Go hard, I'm daddy's little whore." Those words should never leave your mouth, Remy.
While we're in
Remy,
get
redact
therapy.
that. Redact that.
Redact that.
Redact it.
Look, while we're in Noah's point of view, his internal monologue is both hilarious and annoying because while he's having sex with someone that he doesn't want to be, and it's kind of like, if you don't want to have sex, don't have sex.
Just don't.
But it's funny because this chick is literally missing all of the cues and saying some random ass shit, and he's just like, what the actual fuck? He's reacting, she's being like, saying all this stuff, and he's like, oh no. So it's a mix of funny, and I'm like, getting the ick. But
yeah.
Noah is making a break for the bathroom after the post-unfortunate coitus, and Tiernan is stomping past him, muttering about Jake and how annoying Jake is, and then they proceed to have this, like, beat-up play fight into the bathroom, and it's like, I just want you to be cute siblings play fighting, but nope, can't have that either.
No, you cannot. So Remy's back. She's trying to lure Noah back to bed because she wants round two. And rather than just being like, sorry, not kind of my vibe, he barricades himself and Tiernan in the bathroom and, like, wants to hide there until she leaves. And it's like, that's immature. No worries. There's a lot of tickling, some play fighting shenanigans, which just ends up in them falling into, like, the bathtub together. And this whole scene just was uncomfy for me. So they just start talking about, like, other parts of America, which is weird. Then Tiernan tells Noah
Fuck
a story
America.
about fuck America.
Americans
Fuck
need
you.
to stop romanticizing America.
Look, I think half of our listeners are from America, so I apologise, but also get better
You guys-
gun laws.
Yeah, you guys are fine. There's some things going on there that are not okay.
But
and
I
also,
guarantee the people that listen to our podcast are the people that agree with us. So
I know. We're so brave talking out on these issues to people who are same-minded as us.
literally.
That's just what the world has become. Everyone just shouting their opinions at other like-minded people in their echo chambers.
Literally.
That's okay.
Wow. Ellie getting
Wow.
fucking she's gone right
Wow.
to it, right for the
Just-
jugular.
Jesus.
Jesus
Right, that's
indeed.
fine.
Jesus, are you actually present for this?
JC.
JC, if he's still on the corner from the sabotage episode, it's best he remain there.
He's like, I'm ignoring all of you.
You're all fucked. I've already decided you're all going to hell. I'm just here for the humour.
So Tiernan tells Noah a story about when she tried to drown herself in the ocean, which is
Awesome.
yeah.
What a change of pace.
Right.
Okay. I didn't really. There's like a scene where she's got like a bag on her back that's
Yeah.
full of books,
Yeah.
and she's swimming. I'm like, that's weird. Why does she constantly just wear things into bodies of water? not actually picturing where it was going. Anywho, it's a beautiful encounter between them, lovely sharing times. But it's very much giving brother-sister vibes, is it not? With the tickling and the play fighting and then like the weird, deep and meaningful.
Yep.
In fact, Noah literally thinks, and I quote, "It's like having a little sister. Make up your fucking mind. Do these people want to fuck or are they related? You cannot be both."
Well, in this scenario, you can.
It's the taco ad. Okay, stars.
So we go from that uncomfortable moment and they end up going to a lake because, of course, they do.
Of course.
And Noah is very hot for Tiernan. And Caleb is a monkey man. He's like climbing up the rocks, bare hands, like just climbing up like Tarzan. And that's that. Awesome. And then we get a sexy fishing encounter. And I never thought those words would go together, but, you know, here we are. Getting all the unusual vibes in this book. We're all very confused. So, what happens is Jake follows Tiernan to a secluded spot where she's trying to figure out how to fish for herself. And then obviously, because she is a woman and she cannot do anything on her own besides having the man behind her trying to help her, he stands behind her and their bodies are touching. And then there is all this tension. And Tiernan obviously freaks out because she is now getting horny. And she runs to hide behind a waterfall. Next minute, she's rubber-dub-dubbing. And the quote is, "He hates my father, but he wants me."
Daffy Duck's just dying in the background.
So, yes, go from that. She's in the middle trying to get herself off. And next minute, Cece, you remember that one? The one that was very much enjoying the blowjob and is a fucking liar. She comes out. And Caleb is behind her. And Cece's got a blood nose. And we're all a bit like, what's going on here? Tiernan's a bit afraid. She's a bit like, I have almost been caught rubbing it out because of my uncle. And that woman has a blood nose. This is a bit inappropriate.
I will note as well that this waterfall scene we leave with, so she's like, oh gosh, I've been caught nearly mid-wank. And then Caleb like dives past her.
They then go to a pop-up race, because that's a thing, where Noah is competing because he rides bikes.
Did we mention that they build bikes?
The business they do from the house is like custom dirt bikes, motor vehicle situation.
Then there's an unsettling moment where Noah sucks nacho cheese off of her nose.
It's so unsettling. What the
weird.
fuck?
Why? Like, why? Why did it have to happen? Why?
Why couldn't it be like she's eating and he eats it out of her hand type thing?
Yeah, she's like,
so many better. Yeah.
But
like,
even in a normal monogamous, and when I say normal, I mean not incest, monogamous relationship, if my partner tried to suck something off of my nose...
No, it's not okay. From this unsettling moment, Cece appears and pulls Tiernan off to dance because, of course, then we have the annoying stereotype where two straight girls dance like they're not straight and men stare at them.
Mm-hmm.
Jake doesn't react well to this the attention that she's getting and pulls her away. The car then fills up with giggling girls, and no, we are not here for the double standards where the boys get to fuck whoever they want, but she can't. In the car, the full car, Jake and Tiernan start to argue again, and like Tiernan says, you can't stop me from being with someone or having sex if I want to. It's called a double standard, Jake. You guys get to be with women. Why can't I enjoy someone else's company? Jake says, we can be with women because no one has laid claim to us. Tiernan says, no one has laid claim to me. And Jake says, you're a young woman in my house. We claim you until you're old enough. Tiernan then responds with, your logic is flawed, you know. If a woman claims you, then she'll also do for you what other women do. But if you're all claiming me, you're not doing for me what other men would do.
Well, You just fucking wait, Tiernan.
We are equally proud of calling out a double standard, but conflicted because she's basically saying, why aren't you guys fucking me?
Well, if you won't let me fuck someone else, you've got to fuck me.
But also, why is it we have claimed you? Why couldn't it be I have claimed you?
Because I am your uncle.
Why are the sons involved?
My sons have claimed you. My son, singular, not plural, has claimed you. So many other options, but no.
No. Us as a threesome have claimed you. The trio of dicks.
The gaggle of dicks.
Has claimed your vagine. Gaggle of dicks.
Tray dicks.
Tray dicks.
So we go back home. Tiernan goes to bed. She wakes up again to hear Caleb and Noah fucking. Delightful. She goes to get a drink from the kitchen in her underwear. Risky move. And Jake is there, sitting in the dark, watching her. Again, it's Charlie Hunnam, so it's not creepy. We have this moment where she pushes him to see if he'll scold her for having, like, nothing on. And it takes a bit of a turn. So he says to her, have you ever had a man in your bed? She shakes her head. He says, have you ever been kissed? And she nods. And he says, on places other than your mouth? She says, no, Uncle Jake.
Take that out of your fucking mouth.
Don't use that language in this house.
He's not your fucking uncle, Tiernan. For fuck's sake.
They're not related.
Either he's not your uncle and you're fucking, or he is your uncle and you're not fucking.
And you're not fucking.
Exactly right.
You know what would have been better? If this was fucking one of the crew that her dad had worked with, that somehow was the only person and became her guardian.
Or like a weird old family friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally there's no
been.
family.
Family
Could have
friends.
been so much better. Jake then stands behind her and puts like his hand on her hand, like on the bench, while the other hand runs idle lines up and down her back. He says that she should go. And as she goes to leave, he then grabs her and pulls her back against him, which is conflicting messaging. What it is. Do you feel this? He growls over my lips as he pushes me into the sink. The thick, hard ridge of his cock nudges my ass, and I groan. This is what you're doing to me, Tiernan. It's not right. Instead of pile driving the hot tits and ass I came home with, I'm sitting down here trying to talk myself out of going into your room and giving the teenage piece of ass living in my house a really long kiss goodnight. Tiernan responds with, you know, you might go, gosh, that's incest. No. Tiernan goes, and do I take my panties off for that? Sweet sassy Molassie, what in the actual fuck is that?
But, question, what is pile driving? What is pile driving?
I'm picturing someone literally launching themselves. Like, I'm thinking, like, from behind. The woman is grabbed hold of the headboard because if she does not, she is going through the fucking wall. And this man, she's very, very arched. And he is just launching himself off and then just slamming it and then launching himself off.
And there's a lot of, there's also, for me, there's also motorboating. I don't know how that works, but there is as well for me. I'm just assuming there's a lot of just full...
Do you know what it is for me?
A pile driver
Hemorrhoids.
is a critical part of the construction process. Vertical columns made of various materials are driven into an unexcavated soil. So it's like...
Okay, but you know what? Piles
again, I can't.
Also,
Ellie,
they're hemorrhoids.
Did you just say you did piles just say hemorrhoids? Good.
I did because piles are hemorrhoids.
Good.
And he is hemorrhoid driving.
Nope. I don't like that.
The pile driver is an advanced sexual position that requires flexibility and endurance from the giver and receiver.
Jesus
this position
Christ.
is okay for any kind of relationship and can be used for vaginal or anal penetration. The pile driver is also known as the jackhammer.
Following that, there is dry humping, there is kissing, and Jesus fucking Christ. In fact, Jesus, are you still here? Are you still here, my friend?
JC,
are you listening?
JC, where you at?
We need you now more than ever. Basically, the quote that I took from this scenario, because I didn't really want to go into great detail, Briony left it a big old chunk for me to write in, and I refused to do that. So the quote that I'm giving you is, "This isn't happening," he growls. "I'm your uncle. I'm your fucking uncle."
Oh, no.
Yes, you are, but you're also Charlie Hunnam.
And so then she breaks down
Perfect.
because
Yeah.
parents.
Because her parents are cunts, and that gets brought up somehow after the...
And I'm
She's like,
Oh,
just
God.
confused.
she's like, look, I just nearly fucked my uncle, and my parents used to fuck with me, but not fuck me, and so that's sad, I guess.
Oh, God. Yeah, all right. So Jake ends things. He says, "You are beautiful," he tells me, "and pulling my body away from yours was the most pain I've ever been in. But I did it because it was the right thing to do." How fucking noble of you. Round of applause for the white man doing the bare minimum. My conversation actually takes an emotional turn as Jake starts thinking everything Tiernan is doing is just a way to get revenge on her parents, which is pretty fucking depressing.
The next day, Noah and Tiernan go to get lunch because they apparently do this regularly, which, I mean, makes sense. You need to eat, but why don't they eat the food they've harvested anyways? When Caleb jumps in the truck with them. Several key points from this chapter are that a car nearly reverses into them and Caleb flings his arm out to protect Tiernan because she doesn't have a seatbelt. Driver safety 101. Then they go to get takeaway, because even in the middle of fucking nowhere, they can get takeaway. A soda is then thrown on Noah, and it leaks onto the seat, and Caleb just pulls Tiernan off the seat and onto his lap so she isn't soaked by the soda. Look, Caleb is putting down the bare minimum. Noah is giving us much more depth, and I still don't know at this stage who you're meant to ship her with and who you want her to fuck.
Yeah, nope.
Flash forward, and Jake is teaching Tiernan some self-defense because, remember, they liked Karate Kid that one time. And obviously that leads to Tiernan to fall on him and feel his boner on her ass. He then feels that she is wearing a thong. Like, he does this whole thing where he's like, "What's this?" And he's like playing with the thong strap, and that is trauma. The moment is broken up because Tiernan's phone rings because it was on charge, and she decides to fly back for her parents' funeral, and she's unsure if she'll return, which, I mean, fair.
I don't really understand this next chapter. It's just her at the funeral, and she basically realises that home is not a place, but it is a feeling.
Completion.
Literally, I was just like, this chapter is unneeded. We hate her parents. She hates her parents. Buck it up.
And look, the next thing she's going to say is live, laugh, love, and we can just all hate her. But that's fine. We're then in Noah's point of view. Back at the house, without Tiernan there, Jake and Noah are pretty depressed. They're like, oh no, we miss her. It's quite funny, actually, except I'm not laughing. They are all sitting in the kitchen, basically moping about how much they miss her. And then they hear a door slam upstairs, and they do this thing where they're like, did you have someone over? No, did you have someone over? None of them had pussy over. And then they realise that it is their cousin's pussy that is there. And she snuck back home without them realising. And they're just so happy to see her. And it's cute. And let's just forget about all of the incest.
I actually think I'm going to just suffocate myself. Continue.
Right. At dinner, Noah and Tiernan make a bet about dinner, and it ends with Tiernan feeding the dog her steak, because, as you do, she doesn't mind being without it for dinner, but then Caleb has cut up his dinner, and he gives it to her instead, because he's just a beautiful, quiet soul like that, who sometimes rapes people. During dinner, Tiernan talks about the only good advice she ever got from her mother, which is to have 3 lovers, and I actually don't know what I feel about this. Your first love is to be your crush, all lustful and needy. Your second love is to learn about yourself and what you're capable of. Your third love is the result of all the lessons you've learnt with the 1 and 2, and now you can get something good for you. What are our thoughts on this?
I dig it. I don't know that 3 is the exact number, but I definitely believe that, you know, the relationships you have teach you something, and you should, like, your first love is very rare for people that their first love is, you know, the be all end all.
I don't really know. I don't know if I believe that.
Thoughts, Ellie?
I'm kind of like that as well, I guess. Like, Yeah, I think that your relationship evolves as you evolve, so long as you've got the right person.
So we learned some things about Noah's mum. She's a scab. Him and Tiramisu. Him and Tiramisu have some similarities. She gets a gift from all of them because it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Tim. She's officially 18.
I'm so glad we waited until now for penetration.
Anyway, Noah got her a t-shirt and a cap because he's just your cowboy boy. Hunting gear from Uncle Jake, and a leather wrist strap from Caleb so he can buckle her down. Point is, they're not just go all the way to the buckle, I point out. I'm flattered, but my waist isn't that small. Noah leans in, whispering, but your wrists are. And I am uncomfortable. After the first round of shit that went down, I'm like, I would be like, take this buckle and shove it up your fucking ass, you caveman.
After that delightful moment, they go to dinner. And then they go to a bar, because of course they do. And can we have a moment for the description of the dress? It's simple and innocent, but totally not me. Backless and short, falling mid-thigh. It has a deep cleavage and spaghetti straps. Didn't we just describe this dress as innocent and simple? But suddenly it's backless and cleavage?
I just get so unsettled when people do not dress appropriately for the environment they're in. And she's there in like strappy heels with like diamante shit on it and this dress. And I'm like, you are in rural America.
You are in bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Literal bumfuck.
Bumfuck nowhere.
Literal bumfuck.
Literal
nowhere.
bumfucks in nowhere. Anyways.
And of course, Tiernan puts on a song on the jukebox. And it is, Do You Want to Touch Me There? We all know it. By the finals.
I'm so unsettled.
And of course, there's also a bachelorette party.
In the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, there they are. She gets to dance with them, which is apparently the sexiest thing in the world. But then the patriarchy, Terrence, ruins the moment, and she's surrounded and cut off from the boys. I mean, how fucking hard would it for them to be like, oh, where did she go? I'll just step over here and walk. Like, just move my legs in a forward motion and I shall probably
accelerate.
Rejoin her.
And like this is after like Jake has been at the bar, he's about to take a drink and he's like mid-drink frozen because apparently she's so sexy, and then like Noah's playing pool but he's watching her because she's apparently so sexy, and we don't know where Caleb is, but he's assumingly in a dark corner just staring at her smelling there.
No.
So we're assuming they all have eyes on her, and then this conglomerate of patriarchal white cisgendered men just appear and corral her. But, you know, fine, it's fine. And then Caleb pulls her out of the fray and does the thing where their foreheads touch. And look, as much as I hate him, I do like a good forehead touch moment. Like, that's just, it's a little bit like a Viking, like, forehead to forehead situation I enjoy. Yeah. I can bust at that. But then Caleb starts a bar fight in Tiernan's honour.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Any other character, I'd be like, fantastic, but no, I can't do it.
Basically, they end up making their escape. Caleb jumps in the driver's seat and takes out all of the motorbikes as he leaves. And they're chased for a while, but they lose their tail because winter has come and Tiernan will soon.
Oh, no.
Yep, she will.
We then get this moment where Tiernan discovers that Caleb and Noah are staying up to guard the house because even though the snow is coming in, they're like, in case anyone tries to get here and kidnap you and take you back to the town before we can get you, we're just going to stay guard.
In case the White Walkers come.
And then she will, because then they're watching a movie and there's some weird borderline homophobic banter for a bit, but we skim past that because this somehow turns into the three of them, aka Tiernan and Caleb and Noah, her cousins, watching porn together and then wanking together as a collective.
No.
But while Tiernan is mid-wank, her blanket slides off of her And then Caleb and Noah both think, well, this is definitely more interesting than some amateur filmed porn. And, you know, I think some brothers don't like to share. You know, like some brothers go, okay, if you've been there, I won't be there. Like, and that's a very what's mine is mine vibe. But that's not how Noah and Caleb really seem to think in this moment. They don't really have an issue with that. And we have this whole situation where Noah is like at the front and he's like kissing her face while Caleb is like pushing her hair out of her face while she's wanking. So there's like a whole, like, she's in the middle of two brothers situation.
Yeah.
But then there's more.
And before we get into the more part, I actually just wanted to input the quote because it's really fucking strange and it made me fucking laugh. So it suddenly registers that the sound is gone, the sound from the movie. The room is quiet and I don't hear her crying out or moaning anymore. I continue to rub circles as I blink my eyes open. Noah and Caleb aren't watching the movie anymore. They're watching me. My mouth falls open and I look down, seeing my blanket is gone, fallen on the floor. Noah is still in his seat next to me, but he's not stroking anymore. And Caleb has risen from his chair and standing and watching me. Stop being weird, Caleb.
I have found something to go with the music now.
For those that are video only, we're about to give you some extra
Yes,
stimulation.
You want this?
That's essentially what he's doing the whole
Why
podcast.
can't he just do what Noah's doing, which is just sitting watching her? No, he has to stand like the caveman he is and watch from above.
From here, it gets worse. If you thought, wow, you guys have been a train wreck today, it gets worse. So Noah is kissing her titties and says, I want to fuck you. I want to fuck you all winter. And Tiernan, Tezza, the female protagonist is like, well, winter is coming, and so am I. So absolutely, I will fuck my cousins. Noah says he gets her cherry, and Caleb can have her ass because he is an ass man. But wait, there is more. Suddenly, a stern voice says, Noah, and Jake is there. Jake then sends his sons to bed, but stops Tiernan from going to bed. And oh dear, Tiernan that tells Jake that no one has ever felt right to her before, except for all three of them.
Just to quote you in here, I wanted it all to happen, I utter, finally looking back up at him with tears in my eyes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel it everywhere. He stares at me, his eyes narrowed. You feel what everywhere? You, I whisper, dropping my eyes. And them. And then there's just to top it off, because, you know, the situation isn't already weird enough with her just flicking her bean in front of her cousins. He decides she's a naughty girl with a bad habit for wanking in front of her cousins.
For drugs.
And just puts her over his knee and slaps that ass. And the quote that comes out of that is, he slaps me again. And I wince, even as my ass arches up to meet it. No, what? He whispers. No, Uncle Jake. I answer properly. That's all I have to say. Good night.
No.
I think I'm having
I literally am having an aneurysm. It's fine.
We're back with Jake. Have we been with Jake before? But
yeah.
If we haven't, we're here now. They are all in the snow now. It's the next day. And they're trying to teach Tiernan how to hunt because apparently it's essential. Tiernan successfully shoots a deer, Bambi's mother, and she's not okay with it, as you would be, and she starts crying. Jake sends Noah and Caleb to go grab it and take it home. Tiernan then punches Jake in the face for making her shoot and kill Bambi's mother, which somehow leads to a heavy makeout session in the snow and a lot of fondling, with a lot of undergarments and layers. Also, she is wearing 2 low pigtails.
I cannot.
As all self-respecting 18-year-old women do.
Again, I'm going to quote you the fuck into this shit. Okay,
Oh, great.
enjoy this.
Oh, I'm scared.
Quote number 1. That's fucking right. I want that piece of shit to hear his little girl scream my name wherever the hell he is. I want him to know how much she loves her Uncle Jake. Neck min?
No.
Quote number 2. Uncle Jake, she moans. Don't stop. Please don't stop. I won't, baby. I tell her, it's yours. Take it.
No.
I can't.
Put it back.
Basically, from that, just so that if you didn't gather it,
She's fucking her uncle.
She's fucking him, and he takes her virginity. And just so we're clear, Jesus, are you still here? Are you still here?
Mate,
No.
now would have been the time to intervene.
Now would be the time to yeet the chat if you haven't already.
So we're still in Jake's point of view here. They get back to the house after the fucking, and it's like no one will ever know what we were just doing except for the fact that we're half undressed. You look like you've had a rat live in your hair for 3 days, and we're all over each other. So of course they walk in and Noah and Caleb are like, oh.
They're just sitting there
Aye.
waiting. They're like,
This is weird. They told us to go bring Bambi back and they're still not home.
Unfortunate.
What were they doing?
there was also that whole moment where while they were taking Bambi's mum back to be slaughtered, Jake and main protagonist were making out on the side of the ute, but they were concealed because of fogged windows or some shit.
So the cousins are not happy about the fact that their dad is fucking their cousin.
They're very uncomfortable.
But they're not unhappy about their dad fucking their cousin because it's their dad fucking their cousin.
That's not what they're unhappy about, no.
They're unhappy because that then somehow means that they cannot fuck their cousin because their dad is
And that
fucking their
now
cousin.
means that they cannot take
Yes.
the V cards that they so generously offered to take previously.
But no, turns out Jake's gonna let Tiernan fuck whoever she wants to fuck. She can do what she wants to do. If she chooses to bed you, she may bed you, despite the fact that you're cousins and it's weird. But we do get this quote, I'm not sharing a woman with my sons. Well, I'm glad we've drawn a line somewhere.
Shame it won't last.
The chapter ends with Tiernan wrapping her legs around Jake's waist and agreeing to spend the night in his bed.
We're then back in Tiernan's point of view. The next morning, we are witness to a really fucking odd encounter where Tiernan starts doing all these things that Jake liked about his ex, Flora Proactive. They're in the shower and, like, there was this whole thing where he liked because she swam in her clothes. I don't know. So she gets in the shower in her clothes, and again, I don't know.
We don't know.
Luckily,
There's a lot of clothing getting wet in this book. And it's just
And all
weird.
I'm picturing is literally a fucking tub of Flora Proactive in shoes with little stick legs and shoes.
Look, luckily Jake is like, nah, I'm quite fine fucking my step niece, thank you very much. I don't need to think about my first love. I'm quite good as it is. The shower sex gets even weirder because we get these quotes from Jake. I want you happy, Tiernan. I want my sons happy. And I want you to know that no matter where you go, you'll always be ours. Where you're home, I want you at my table in the morning and in my bed at night.
Again, no.
As Tiernan leaves Jake's room because she's been fucking her uncle, Caleb is there.
Of course he is.
Hold on.
Caleb is there.
On the
But just
stairs,
imagine
she,
him
like,
sniffing
smoked
the hair.
in the dark. And turns out he decides to react very calmly and rationally in this moment. Said no one ever. And he pins her to her bed, spits in her hair, and then writes slut across her head in Sharpie.
What the actual fuck, Caleb? That is not normal behaviour. And if someone hasn't called you the fuck up on that, I will right now. You're a fucking weird cunt. Sort your shit, you fucking spastic.
He's absolutely mugged. And Tiernan's shame at being scribbled and shamed with a Sharpie very quickly turns to rage. And the quote is, he's had at least 3 women in his room since I've been here, not counting Cece in the barn that day, but I'm the slut he gets spat on. And that is true. If he didn't have an issue with her fucking him and his brother, why does he have an issue with the dad? Look, So the next morning they're at breakfast and they're having this little standoff where she's acting like nothing happened, and that is bothering him more than anything. And by him I mean Caleb, because I know there's a lot of men in this house. So then Caleb knocks a bowl of, I'm assuming, oatmeal or porridge onto Tiernan so that she is soaked. Tiernan takes the bet and goes, fine, you want to soak my shorts? Then I will take them off at the breakfast table. Caleb is unhappy with this development and then proceeds to fling oats at her instead. Jake is pissed because his son is throwing porridge at his stepniece who he's fucking, and Tiernan just doubles down. No, it's fine. That's how babies communicate. Caleb then flips the table and leaves.
Good communication.
Also, can we talk about this? I tuck my grin between my teeth.
So what, is she just like...
I just...
Look, I don't know anything after this episode. I have no thoughts or opinions.
None. In fact, when they next encounter each other, Caleb is butchering a carcass. Because what else would Tarzan be doing right now? Caleb scares her off, and then she hears him laugh. And this is the next part. And I know I've said before, I enjoy fingers in mouths, that whole situation. This is not one of those situations. He turns, seeing me, and his green eyes hold me frozen. As he raises his fingers, sweat covers his chest and arms, his hair sticking to his temples, and I watch as a small grin curls his lips and he sticks a finger into his mouth, licking the blood off.
Look, if Caleb is not a man that loves his woman at any time of the month, he's a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, look, Caleb, you're a fucking weird cunt. I've had enough.
It was unnecessary.
And also, it's very unhygienic. You should go get tested.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are unnecessary, we'd segue into the next point.
Yeah, definitely, because Tiernan then discovers some furniture in storage and decides it's time to get my DIY on. It's a weird plot point, but we're here. That's it, okay? She likes to paint. Moving on. Noah and Tiernan are in the workshop together, and they have this, touching connection. But then he's also like, I'm angry about you fucking my dad and not fucking me. So how about you fuck me? And she's like, I don't think I can fuck you, but I'll watch you jack yourself off and I'll give you my boobs to look at while you do it.
What is
so strange? And then it gets to a moment where she's like, actually, I can't do this. And
so he doesn't even get to finish, bear in mind. She's redacting these titties. Good night. Good night.
Redacting the titties. Look, next chapter, Tiernan is sketching because she's apparently artsy now, and Caleb is watching her. He then leans over her and helps her achieve a blending of colours that she was trying to get, but she couldn't figure out. It's a whole time. They apparently have a moment, and then Tiernan is telling Caleb about her history with drawing so that her family didn't love her. And we have this moment when, as she's about to break down, he catches her. It's apparently very crucial. I fail to see why, but we get these quotes that make me want to jump on the ship, and yet I cannot. I close my eyes and stop breathing as the silent house surrounds us. He holds me. Barely touching me, he holds me.
How?
Next quote. I feel safe, and when he wraps his arms around me, holding me tight, I fight to keep the tears away.
Even though Tiernan is having all these thoughts, she goes, I guess a slut is good enough when you're desperate enough, which, good on you, Tiernan, because fuck that cunt.
He can't access you for emotional development and then call you a slut in the next page.
And spit in your hair.
And also, just so you're all aware, Jake also is going on some isolated trip, which will leave the three cousins.
Because that sounds like a great idea. Yeah. You can fuck whoever you want to fuck.
He's will happen.
Yeah.
But hold that thought, because Tiernan's knickers are missing.
Fucking hell.
Tiernan realises that some of her underwear is missing, as we have established, and she goes looking for it in all of the boys' rooms, but because there's so much sexual tension with all of her extended family, she has to check every bedroom, only to find that her hair ribbon, remember that? It is penetrating his pillowcase. Tiernan then decides to wear the ribbon in her hair to dinner and not to say anything to Caleb. And I mean, I do like the power play because power of the pussy, but this is not the time.
Side note, Anyone else notice Caleb had animal bones in his room?
No.
Yeah. The quote is, I walk over to the table, picking up a few of the animal bones and search for some more information.
So he's the serial killer.
Yep. It's all tracking. So unfortunately, Noah's drunk at dinner and pushes the boundaries, which leaves Tiernan to make a statement about her sexual choice. She's like, you know what? I can say no, and I know what no means. No. That changes
Yeah, and
very
honestly,
quickly.
I really don't know why she's not really interested in Noah. Like, he's her age, he's hot, he's nice, but no, she wants either the uncle or a caveman. I'm not too sure.
Look, out of all of the fuckable options here, there is, like we've established, caveman that's sniffing her hair and is literally saying nothing. And then there's her uncle, which I feel like that just, you don't need to say anymore, do you?
No.
The uncle who's like the disciplinarian who's giving her some hard love. She goes, yes, one of these two, not the guy who's actually taken an initiative to understand me emotionally and my trauma and talk about anything other than coitus or talk at all. But no, it's fine. We're then in Noah's point of view because we should suffer like that. And Noah is about to wank away his feelings when he hears Tiernan cry
Good job.
out.
That was it.
Both he and Caleb run for her room to discover that she's in the middle of a nightmare. And this is when we discover that Caleb has been going into her room and cuddling her at 1:15 every night when her nightmares start, as cuddling her stops the nightmares and no one knows he's doing that.
It's just
I don't like it.
unnecessary
much.
as well.
And the
It's
problem
a
is
bit
he
much.
walks in and it's not like, because Noah's like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? And Caleb literally is like half asleep, like, oh, fuck off. Like, you know, he just walks in, just lies down with her, cuddles her. Just is like, he's just so used to it. And I'm like,
Weird.
this is weird.
Everything that's happening here is weird.
It's
Anyone else that was doing this, I'd be like, cute, love it.
Sweet.
Not this motherfucker.
But their beautiful moment of her being unconscious and him snuggling her is ruined because there's a fire. Shit. Oh no. It's very dramatic. Everyone runs into the stables trying to get the animals out except for Caleb, who just, I don't know, fucking goes all Kung Fu Panda on the water tower.
Kung Fu Panda again.
In the process, Tiernan's arm is badly hurt. She's bleeding. It's scary. They manage to deal with the fire because, of course, they do. And then Caleb is there. He scoops Tiernan up, carrying her inside because she can't walk because her arm is injured. It did give me Black Beauty vibes, which I support.
Why would you bring the horses
gosh.
into this? We're then in Tiernan's point of view. She's not okay. Her arm is badly cut open and they obviously can't get to a hospital because they're snowed in. They're doing this thing where she starts drinking while Caleb prepares a needle and thread, and then the fear and pain is riding her like thoughts and she's just so struggling with it and she's freaking the fuck out, which is fair but unhelpful when an amateur is about to stitch your arm up.
And in this moment, we find out something. Caleb is a slapper. He likes to slap and not pussies. He slaps Tiernan straight in the face when he's trying to stitch her up because she's obviously flinching, and he's like, you know what would take your mind off that? If I just fucking whack you. Yeah. So
Let me give you
the
more
point
pain.
is, his brows pinch and he breathes hard, but he rises, hesitating only a moment before he slaps me again. I cry out, squeezing my eyes shut, making the tears stream down my face. Then, just to fuck with you some more, he kisses her. And then Noah kisses her too. And it's all on. So
Okay.
the fire on his clothes wafts around me, and the next thing I know, he's burying his face in my neck, not kissing. As he squeezes the front of my throat harder, I gasp. He sinks his teeth into my neck, squeezing me, and just as I feel the pinch of Caleb's needle, I grab the back of Noah's head and turn to him, breathing in and out hard against his lips.
No.
There is so much.
Didn't she just say no?
Like, one, I got incredibly anxious when she started talking about how badly she needed to pee.
because they take her to the tub.
I was like, I'm so happy that we didn't go into golden shower territory because I cannot.
We really could have.
We could have, and I was so anxious. Then they start referring to her as a baby and to Jake as daddy, and all of that is not okay.
Ew!
No.
And then they fucking talk about the pigtail braid situation again, which again, redact that. So somehow they're now in a tub washing her. I don't know how, but we're here. And the quote is, I grab Caleb's head, keeping him there, and Noah twists mine to the side, taking my mouth. Caleb licks and sucks, while Noah takes my breath, making it impossible to breathe. And if you wonder where she is holding Caleb, it is her vagina. Tiernan then says yes to them, and Caleb does the forehead touch. And normally I'd be happy about that, but I can't be because she's about to fuck both brothers at the same time.
Cool. We go from there and we find out that Noah is a praise kink master and he's always with the good girls. And I find myself cheering for him because I have a praise kink and I want him to call me a good girl. Thank you very much.
Again, I think I want to barrack for the rational love interest. Out of all of the options, Noah makes the most sense.
But just fucking yeet past that because they all fuck. First it's Noah and Tiernan, and then Caleb gets in her butt. So they all fuck in all the holes. It's all happening. And then we get this quote. Something tugs at my hair ever so gently because of course she's still wearing the fucking ribbon. And I vaguely register soft silk dragging over my forehead. I blink my eyes open to see Caleb fist my red ribbon in his hand and reach under his head, stuffing it back inside his pillowcase. I smile, holding back my laugh and go back to sleep. That is so fucking strange.
Yes, it is. Do you know what is also strange? How does one keep a red ribbon in their braided hair when the braids are pulled out into pigtails? Because that happens within the fucking. How? Because it also ends up slipping down.
Yeah, where is it? Is she just got it
how?
Where the fuck is it?
She's like a 2000s festival goer.
Ew.
With the ribbon.
So we're back in Tiernan's point of view, and Caleb goes to check on her in the bathroom, and we have this really unusual moment where he hangs his head in her lap and she believes she understands him even though he doesn't say a fucking word. And let's be real, you can be mute, you could learn sign language, you could have a chalkboard, you could have a whiteboard, you could text. There are so many options that the entire lack of communication.
He doesn't even nod and shake his head though. It's literally nothing.
No.
So Jake is back. Yay. And she tells him that she was fucking his sons simultaneously. Things end romantically between them, which Jake is fine with.
Everything's
the whole situation. It's just not sitting right with me. I just really don't think she should be fucking anyone in this situation.
Everything seems to be going swimmingly, and then we notice that Tiernan's drawings are pinned to the fridge, and that's apparently nice. Caleb has
because she's a child
taken them out of the trash and put them on display to try and heal her childhood trauma.
In reality, he's taking a fucking piss. It's like, look at her shit fucking drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this shit. So then Tiernan decides to find a Christmas tree for the house and makes the house festive.
Another weird side plot.
Because it's apparently nearly December. What is time? It is a construct. Caleb ends up appearing and helping her, and they have this weird, cute moment where she uses only expressions to communicate. She doesn't make a sound. And then they lean into each other like it's their own personal language. But then the cute moment ends and they're back to their bully romance. And they fuck on a car. And I can't even... Noah's looking for them while they're fucking in a car, and she wants him to be rougher, and it's trying to be romantic, but she's not happy that it's romantic, and it's very confusing. So look, at this moment, I'm assuming we're meant to be like, oh yeah, Caleb is the main love interest over the others, right? The quote is, I want that again. I want that 1,000,000 times, a lifetime's worth, but I have a sneaky suspicion I'll have a hard time finding it with anyone else. But there is just too much here. I cannot commit to this shit.
I'm just fucking confused.
No. Again, another really weird plot point that didn't need to be there. Some trashy magazine is printing a shitty article about her parents, and Tiernan decides to stand up for what she wants and tells the family lawyers to make an example of them. Didn't need to be there. Ways to
Redact that.
Tiernan and Noah are having a cute little bonding moment where they're decorating the house for Christmas like children and siblings. It's delightful. But then Noah decides to ruin that moment by asking, well, what if we pumped you until you were pregnant?
Look, there's so much in that. Not only is it pregnancy, and that's something I have a problem with, but it's the pumping.
The pumping. They're going to
Like
pile
she's a
drive her
deflated
till she's
tyre.
pregnant.
Deflated tire. Ew. Redact that.
Ew. Caleb takes this moment. He's like, this is weird. I'm going to take you out of this. Takes her hand. And in that moment, Noah realizes that Caleb is the one that she wants. So she's not going to have his children. Tiernan thinks that they're going to fuck. But Caleb actually just locks her in a room.
Fine.
Chapter ends. That's it. We get no context for that.
And
she's
then we
just
go
locked into a
from
room.
that
Okay,
straight into fucking Caleb's point of view, which we've never been in before. And thank fucking God. Because
it's just that the whole time.
this fucking cunt, he is fucked. And he definitely needs therapy. His internal dialogue is just fucked. So it just gets...
He should have been in therapy from the age of 4.
We didn't fucking ask for his point of view. We don't fucking want it. It just continues to get worse because not only is he in his head like, I hate this fucking slut, he is then like, I'm going to go fuck this fucking slut, and fucks her when she starts having her nightmare.
Which, how many times has that happened that we were in his point of view to know it happened?
No.
Gonna say that's
rape. That is
rape.
1000% rape. And it just basically goes downhill from there. We all thought this book couldn't get any fucking worse, but here we fucking are.
So then we're in Tiernan's point of view, and she's waking up after she's been fucked while she's been asleep, and she's not angry about it, but we are on her behalf. Caleb grabs the belt that he made her for her birthday and harnesses her wrist to the headboard. Then it gets very rapey. He's fucking her too hard, and it's not nice, and she asks him to stop multiple times, but he doesn't. It's just your partner giving you clear instructions on consent, but that's fine. She ends up breaking free and running into Noah's room and hiding in Noah's bed. Noah takes the opportunity to tell her all of Caleb's tragic backstory, aka why he doesn't talk. And apparently their mother left him in a car for days on end with no food or water and just forgot about him while she partied at like the age of 4. And he's never spoken since. But actually, no, I'm officially done with a tragic backstory being used to justify shitty behaviour by men in relationships. Go to therapy. It's not the job of women to heal your generational trauma or whatever the fuck is going on with you.
And this is the problem. I've read bully romances before, and I actually really like them. This is one that I do not fucking like, so fuck off.
But also, in other parts of this book, we discover, like, there's some commentary that Jake doesn't think, he doesn't vote because he doesn't, believe in anything.
Oh, that's right.
So, of course, this is going to be the type of man that doesn't think therapy
Suck
is
my
useful.
dick, Jake.
But Tiernan eventually leaves Noah's room and goes to find Caleb. And they're kind of healing when she finds him holding some broken wood. And then she realises, that's my craft project. Do you remember the drawers that she found, the old piece of furniture, which she was like,
instead of
have a little...
punching the drywall like every other basic bitch white man before him, Caleb just smashed up her art project instead.
Fuck my hand and fuck your art project. This is fucking shit.
Yeah.
Shit,
try again.
So she's very upset about this. And instead of acting like a normal human, which is like, why the fuck did you do that? She continues to just smash up everything else. She just fucks it up. And then Jake and Noah are both like, dude, are you all right? And she is indeed not okay. She's leaving in April, and Caleb is apparently in love with her. These are two things that we find out. Okay, cool. Just fucking flip-flop, because we find out that basically Caleb, he's running away. He's had enough. He's going into the wilderness where Tarzan belongs. And basically before he does that, he turns around to her, puts his hand to his chest, and taps twice because Tarzan. But apparently, in sign language, this means mine. Thanks for that, you fucking dickhead.
Absolutely, what the fuck. So then we're back in Tiernan's point of view. A week has passed and Tiernan is still not okay. She's decided that as soon as the road's clear, she is gone. She's skedaddling. Caleb has not returned from his random isolating back into the wilderness trip. I don't
know where
fucking
he
know.
is. We don't fucking care.
Jake is
He's
like,
loving.
this is your home. And she understandably is like, how can we get past the fact that we are a family and yet I have fucked everyone in this house? Jake goes, well, that's easy. Turns out Caleb is actually in love with you. So we're just able to ignore the sex you've had with everyone in this house. Quite simple. Apparently the two, like, pats on the chest was, like we've said, sign language for mine, like the seagull in Finding Nemo. And Tiernan is... Mine! Tiernan is digesting all of that news and decides to go snoop in Caleb's bedroom because, of course,
there's no boundaries in this house anyway. Fuck it up.
Then we're in sometime in February. I have no idea what is happening. Noah and Tiernan are back to their sibling-like relationship. Tiernan essentially puts her foot down and is well, I don't know if I love Caleb, but I probs shouldn't fuck his brother or his father while I figure that out. Fair.
Then Mazza phones, remember her? And we get some hints at like a potential romance between her and Jake.
That comes out of literally nowhere.
Nowhere. I thought she was like in her 60s.
But she was not. She's apparently young. And she's apparently annoying as fuck, as Jake puts it. But, you know, whatever.
Jake tells Tiernan to take Noah with her when she leaves. Because Noah's been antsy to, like, get out of the wilderness or whatever the fuck. And Jake's been like, no. And now he's like, yes. Tiernan snoops again in Caleb's room. There's a lot of repetition here, but she discovers something, that all the books that are in his room, no, he's not a book reader, which we could have maybe forgiven things for, but nope. Instead, he's writing in books like they're his bloody
they're
journals.
Fucking not.
Mate, just go to Kiki K like any other basic bitch and buy yourself a journal.
Servo down. Oh wait, they live in the fucking wilderness. Go outside, write your feelings in the fucking snow.
But Tiernan is apparently moved by his journal entries and decides to venture into the wilderness to bring him home.
There's not even anything like groundbreaking in the fucking journals either. It's just fucking a bunch of mumble jumble.
But she's in tears reading it because of course she is. So she and Noah set off on their quest early the next morning and they nearly die in the poor conditions because now there's a lightning storm and Noah goes, let's set up a tent right here. And she's like, I'm not going near metal poles in the middle of a mountain top during a lightning storm. This might be the
only time she ever has her fucking brain.
But they make it to the cabin and Caleb is there. Well, not really. They know he's been there, but he's not in there. So they stay the night. The next morning, Noah goes out to catch some fish for breakfast because that sounds appetizing. And Tiernan finds Bambi. When Tiernan sees this deer, she's like, run, be free, because if Noah finds you, he was going to catch you and eat you. And as she's trying to shoo him off, she looks out into the shrubbery and she sees Caleb watching her through the scope of his gun. Oh, God. She asks him to come home and then he does the romantic thing and he rushes over to her and they make out in the snow. And then Tiernan tells him that she loves him. Okay, she's done that. They fuck and they leave Noah out in the snow. So
we're just going to engage in heterosexual monogamous coitus. Can you just wait in the cold while we fuck? Then we're back in Tiernan's point of view. And we discover that Caleb's tattoo, you know, that weird line he's got, it says Credence. So is it just really big font saying Credence from his head down his spine?
I have no idea.
It's basic white bitch territory. And apparently Credence means belief as to the truth of something.
Okay.
Anyways, we just ignore that.
Because that makes no fucking sense.
We then flash forward to Caleb and Tiernan riding dirt bikes because the snow is clearing and whatever the fuck. The driveway's been salted anyways. Mazza is really getting under Jake's skin. Again, that's a bit of a forced romance, but anyways. And then Noah is wanting to stay with Tiernan in LA when she leaves for college. He can tell that she's wavering because she loves Caleb for no apparent reason. And he's like, look, he's trying to make her think about why she would even, like, she should stick to her plan and go to college. And there's actually nothing for her if she stays. She will be giving up so much. Yeah. Completely accurate.
2 months later. Surprise, time jump. Tyrion's late for her period. That's scary. She's still on the pill, But she's like, I'm 3 days late. This is weird. But she gets her period. So she's like, okay, cool. That's good. She goes back up to her bedroom and she has a moment where she's like, but what if I wasn't on my period? What if I was pregnant? And she's got her hand on her stomach and she's looking at herself in the mirror, trying to picture what she'd look like if she was pregnant. And she lifts her top up so she could pretend to see.
Look, we've all done that at some
if
stage.
it was pregnant. Do you know what we haven't done, though? As you hear footsteps approaching, remained in that position and then made weird eye contact with the people staring back at you. Yeah. Because that's what she did. And then she's like, oh, crap, you've caught me. And it's like, you had time to remove your hand.
You could have still been holding your bloated belly and gone, God, I need to go shit.
So Caleb takes a look at her, pretending to be pregnant, and is like, yes, come with me. Takes her into the bathroom, grabs a hold of her birth control, yeets it into the bin.
Because it was just there, readily accessible.
They're ready to bear child.
Not even...
That sounds...
It's been one
He's not even
winter.
said one word. He's just written slut on her forehead and spat on her.
That's the only
Communication, that's it. And
that's it. And that's
my
it.
slut.
But now, guess what, guys? Roads are open. Winter's over. So Tiernan and Caleb go into town to get supplies. So while they're there, Caleb fends off a guy who's attempting to hit on her. And then we see Cece Dickens, remember her? Guess what? She's heavily pregante. Cece looks at Caleb, looks at Tiernan, and then says to Caleb, we'll be in touch, and goes the fuck on her way. Tiernan does not take this well, as you can imagine, and confronts Caleb about it. And Caleb, again, doesn't say anything, doesn't react.
we just fucking yeet past that, because now she is like, well, I'm mad at you and you're mad at me and we're mad at each other. We don't know how long it's been, but they're now doing a photo shoot for the website. You know, it's one of those hot photo shoots where, like, she's in, like, the really cropped shorts and she's on the bike and
with her
Noah.
cousin.
It's all fun. Everyone finds out about Cece being pregnant, and Caleb still refuses to speak. And then we get this beautiful quote while Noah and Tiernan are, like, on the bike, like, getting all sexy, whatever. One of the fucking photographers says, "Not too close," someone tells Juno. "She's his cousin." Noah snorts, his chest shaking against my back. Which, what a coincidence.
Look, it's
Not
funny.
fucking wrong.
Look, from here, Noah is still being lovely but he is also going a bit Dominic Toretto from the Fast and Furious, and he's like, "We're not letting you go. This is family." And we get some weird internal dialogue as Tiernan applies the word credence to her life. I don't have the energy to even deal with that. Caleb ends up being violent. Surprise, surprise. And Jake decides to take the boys down the mountain to a bar to let off steam. Because, of course, that's the answer to all of our problems, Jake. So then that leaves Tiernan alone in the house. Tiernan is basically packing up and she's planning to leave. Apparently, Mazza, Mariah, whatever the fuck her name is, has come to see everyone. And so she's down the bottom of the hill in a hotel, and her plan is just to skedaddle. She's going to just go. She leaves a note for Caleb in one of his books saying goodbye. And she goes to leave the house, but then goes, oh, wait, the stable's open and the animals are acting up weird. So she goes to close that, and then someone is in the barn with her.
Terrence is back.
Oh, not
Terrence.
Terrence.
He's been waiting for her to come be alone.
Literally all winter.
He's been in that barn.
Weird. Very odd.
He's been eating horse shit.
He has.
He's like, I am Bear Grylls.
He's had a time. But he's not there alone. He has friends. There's a gaggle of them. Alarms are going off. She takes a rake as a weapon and is unlocking her phone, which is behind her back. And she calls Jake. She hides the phone in her back pocket, watches on the line, fends off Terrace with the rake. She's hiding from the guys in the house until she notices that they're going to torch everything again. And she hears a confession from Terry about how he burnt the stables down and caused the whole Black Beauty moment. Fucking Terry. She doesn't do what I want her to do, which is be my sponsor, which is a random plot point, but okay. Then I'm going to burn this motherfucking house down, but I'm also going to rape her.
Yeah.
Because I've got lots of things I need to check off my to-do list tonight. She sees her bow and arrow that Jake kindly got her for her 18th birthday. And she's like, you are on my land, on my home. I'm going to shoot.
I'm going to use my Second Amendment right.
And she ends up shooting an arrow into Terence's shoulder.
Fuck him up, sis.
Fuck him up.
Mhm.
Go harder. Shoot him in the
During
dick.
this, well, the boys come back home now. They've sped up the mountain, and everything's going well, except, Tiernan's original problems still remain. Caleb still is mute, surprisingly. That hasn't changed. But we do find out that the baby isn't his. So Mazza appears, and Tiernan is trying to shoo her off when Caleb puts her suitcase in the car, and he's like, fuck off. Done with you.
He's like, I draw the line here. We're back in Tiernan's point of view, and she's now back in LA, but she's in the empty house with no life in it because her parents have left the chat voluntarily. She has some emotional internal dialogue about her parents, yada, yada, yada. We don't care. Tiernan decides to sell all of her parents' fancy clothes. Fair. Fuck them up. Then we're 6 weeks after that. It's unusual. She's in California, and she is settling into life on her own. She goes to the beach to chill in the rain because that's apparently a thing she likes to do, and turns out she told Noah about that because he appears. Noah has a sponsor and has reconnected with her after he got some space of his own because he probably did need that, love that for him. Their relationship is actually what it should have been.
Exactly.
Now they're just happily platonic, not fucking step cousins. The chapter ends with Noah saying that Caleb loves her to death, but she believes he is still in the car that his mother left him in at 4.
Oh, that's right.
We're back in Tiernan's point of view at the next chapter, and Noah is apparently going to move in with her, and as she gets home, she can hear Mazza arguing with someone. It's Uncle Jake
is there. Yes, so she goes to bed. And when she wakes up, she looks out the window and sees a tyre hanging from the tree. She runs outside and guess who's there? It's Tarzan. Hello, Tarzan. Welcome back. He pushes her in the tyre and then shows her an article where, there's a photo.
Her parents are happy on the tyre swing and she's just like...
And it's like, is he showing her... Again, are we interpreting the same thing? Is he showing her this to be like, fuck you? Or is he showing her this to be like, look, we can now do this.
Look, you were sad then.
Look, sad girl, be sad. Basically, Tiernan she's taking that he's being a good person and running with it. And she's like, I can't believe you're here. And Caleb actually, for the first time in 400 pages, says it was time.
It's literally chapter 36.
400 pages.
35 chapters of nothing.
And that's what he comes out with to begin with. Anyway, the next part, walking around the tyre, he steps toward me. My home is where you are, he says quietly. And basically we find out that he read to himself in the cabin after she left because he was sad out loud. So he could speak these words to her. And that's, whatever.
So guess what? 5 years later, and they've got a kid.
That's
whatever.
Awful.
So they're fucking in a tent because, as you do, Caleb is feeding their baby.
Not while they're fucking in a tent. There is a gap there.
No, just to clarify, there's a pause.
Go fucking the tent and then Caleb leaves the tent.
Baby is not in the tent. Right, I'm glad we clarified that because with this book, you never knew what was going to happen. The baby's name is Griffin. I don't like it.
Fuck.
They actually are all back together now. The whole crew's reunited. They're living at Chapel's Peaks again.
It's
They're
a
doing
giant orgy.
It's weird. Mazza
Giant sex
and
cult.
Jake are fucking... It's just... And the end.
Done.
Why?
First of all, they didn't need to be related. You still could have had a good book. Secondly, she didn't need to fuck them all. Still could have had a good book. Thirdly, Caleb didn't need to be mute.
Didn't actually
Still could
need
have had
to
a good
exist.
book.
I actually just hate him.
I'm really keen to get into Ellie's music references.
So... Like all good smut books, the author has provided us with some music references to go along with this fine read. So, first up, Blue Blood by Laurel. Never heard of it. Second up, Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored by Ariana Grande. Not sure how that fits in with the book that we just read, but okay, Penelope. Thirdly, Dancing Barefoot by U2.
Look, we should have known there was going to be issues when U2 was brought into this. No one willingly goes,
inserted
this
themselves.
is literally the band that inserted themselves into everyone's Apple Music.
They are the Caleb of the music industry. And there's a lot more, but this book has done me in. And I'm like 95% certain that no one wants to listen to a playlist about this book. So the end. They're your music references. Take that as you will. Don't go fuck your brothers or your cousins.
Don't fuck people you're related with. I'm sure by now we don't have to specify
Whatever.
this.
I'm over this fucking book.
The next book we're reading for the podcast is Shadows and Crowns, aka book 1 of Song of the March series by S.M. Gaither. It's pretty good, you know, and it's quite nice that we're reading some fantasy after all of this shit. So, all right, please. Okay, it's green. That means it's a listener, because I've colour-coded it now.
Oh, that's good.
Colour code system. The listener recommendation, and I'm actually very excited for this, Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. It is a one-off, standalone book. It's a goodie. It is a real goodie. I have read it already, and I can definitely recommend it. It is beautiful. There's not a lot of smart, I will clarify, but it is a gorgeous novel.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not disappointed about the smut situation, but I will still read it. Thank you all for listening to this fucking shit show. As we say always, go follow us on all of the social medias. Rate us 5 stars.
Yeah, do the like, follow, subscribe, rate thing. We would love to hear from you guys if you want to DM us, if you've got your recommendations. Otherwise, apparently rating us really helps.
Yes.
We do have a giveaway in the works because Georgia has nearly hit 10K on TikTok.
We're getting up there, y'all. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
We'll see you then.
Bye.